and welcome to the Morning Serve thanks to TikTok. I'm Emma Lawrence, joined by Casey Delacqua. Casey, let's start with Andy Murray and that incredible 5-set win over Matteo Berrettini. How incredible was that to watch? It really doesn't get any better.
It actually doesn't, Emma. Like, it was a super special match, and I think for myself, who's been in tennis for many years, to witness a match like that from Andy, super special. I think for the fans and also people within tennis. He's so well liked, he's so well loved, and he's such a great advocate for our game in so many facets. So I think to see him out there fighting, I think for the younger generation, to see him giving it his all, picking up his rubbish after the match, all those little things really highlight the type of player Andy is. But from a tennis perspective, wow, what a win against Berrettini.
He has struggled with that hip for, 10 plus years now, and going back a couple of years, many would have thought he'd retire, and he just refused to do so. Were there moments you thought he might not still have it in him?
I think a lot of people have thought, how can he keep coming back? He's shown so much resilience with all of the injuries he's had, but just a fierce competitor is Andy Murray, and I would hate to see what he looks like at 60 when he's trying to walk around with his hips, because he just has had to go through so much. But just wonderful, and just so great for the tournament that we'll get to see him out there in another match.
It's pretty cool with technology though, don't you think, that essentially he's walking around, he's had that hip resurfacing surgery, so he's basically got a metal hip running out there in a Grand Slam. Like, technology's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, isn't it? We know how good technology is, and that's, I think, extended the longevity of a lot of players purely because of the medical treatments and that they're able to get. So, as well as obviously having the personality that Andy does and that fierce competitor that he is.
He's won 3 Grand Slams, former world #1, so he has had an incredible career, but given he's been in, I guess, an unlucky era where you've had Nadal, Novak and Roger. If it weren't for the big 3, like, how far could he have gone? How many could he have won?
Yeah, I think we talk about that with a lot of players in terms of how many Grand Slams could they have won had those champions not been around, but how blessed we are to have this era of so many great players. When you think about Andy, I definitely think he could have had a handful, but I think what he's been able to achieve in this generation, this era, just proves what type of player he is. But as we always like to say in tennis, sometimes it is so important to be a great player and off the court as well. And I know from a women's perspective, he is the biggest advocate for women's tennis as well. And I just love Andy Murray, and I'm so thrilled for him.
We love him, but he's going to be up against Thanasi Kokkinakis, who was great in his first round match. Do you give him a chance against the former world #1?
Yeah, I've got to give Thanasi a chance, absolutely. I think Thanasi's just looking really good. I do think now that he's not going to be playing the doubles, singles is his real focus. So I think having Thanasi out on court in, Adelaide, he played great tennis. He's played great against Fognini. So I think he's up for a good shot. It is a good little section now because Berrettini's out was the seed. I mean, you never discount Andy Murray either, but what a second round matchup that we get to see.
Absolutely. Well, it's time now for our TikTok moment of the day, and it goes to Kim Birrell, those incredible emotional scenes after her first round win.
Birrell brings home an improbable Aussie victory. She comes back from a set down, 3-6, 7-6, 6-1.
How good was that for Kim Birrell? Her first win at a Grand Slam since 2019, an upset win over Kaya Kanepi. Casey, did you just love watching that?
I absolutely loved it. I love Kim, obviously known Kim for many years, and just so thrilled for her. She got the wild card. Venus Williams actually had that wild card, and Kim Birrell got it when Venus pulled out injured, and she's made the most of her opportunity. She made the 3rd round here, Kim Birrell, in 2019, and now, again, a great little section of the draw where she's beaten a seed, so next round is another opportunity for Kim Birrell. But I was really impressed with her attitude. Kaya Kanepi's an absolute superstar when it comes to upsets at Grand Slams. So Kim did a great job to hold her composure. I thought she would push Kaya Kanepi, but I'm stoked that she got over the line.
Up next, Linda Fruhvirtova. Do you give her a chance in that one?
Absolutely. I think this is a really good second match, and I really feel that Kim can, use the Australian crowd and use her presence now, beating someone as good as Kaya Kanepi in this next round. Although Fruhvirtova, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it, is a very, very good player along with her sister. So they're fierce, the Czechs, they're fierce competitors. So Kim's definitely going to have to manoeuvre the ball really well. She uses pace well, so she can change direction and hopefully get the Czech opponent off balance.
Regardless, she's done so well just because of what she's gone through with 2 surgeries to her elbow. She showed incredible grit, determination, perseverance. How hard is that, particularly, I guess, when you're on the fringe of those Grand Slams, to come back from 2 surgeries like that?
Yeah, it's been tough, and I've had moments with Kim where you definitely can feel that sometimes you question how much you can keep doing, how much more rehab can you keep doing before sometimes it gets a bit much. So as tennis players, we're all pretty resilient. You get pretty selfish, you get in that zone, and I think for Kim, just to come through those injuries, I've always thought she's going to be a great talent, so it's just wonderful to see her back playing some great tennis, and hopefully, she can pump up the Aussie crowd and keep it going.
All right, before we let you go, we have to talk about this crazy weather. We've had stop-start with these matches. How much of a distraction is that for the players, and does it genuinely affect their focus at all?
Well, I think every player deals with the situation probably quite differently. Yes, it can get frustrating, but we are quite used to that as tennis players, whether it be a rain delay or what's difficult, I think, is when you are halfway through a match and you have to come back the next day. Normally you might have rain delays and you get back out on court, but I think sleeping on a score line is not easy. So I think it's been tricky with the heat, with the rain. We've had it all. So you've got to always remember the key, though, is that your opponent is always in the same position. So you've got to have a really positive mindset and make sure when you get that 5-minute warm-up, you get the body going and you just get straight back into that match as quickly as possible.
And if you do have to end up playing, like some players will, back-to-back days, how much does fatigue come into it? And perhaps not right now, but if they continue later into the tournament, does fatigue then become a factor later on? It
does, and particularly in the men's game where it's best of 5 set tennis. So having to back up each day with best of 5 tennis is tough for the men. So I think that's going to play a factor. This is where, though, the pre-season and what the players have done in the off-season comes into to really matter. So you always see at this time of year the ones that have really worked hard in the off-season and they're prepared for whatever's thrown at them. As I said, most of the players are in the same position as their opponents because the way the schedule works out, they try and match up different parts of the draw so that they're all playing at the same time. But it definitely throws more challenges.
And Novak Djokovic, incredible in his first round as he usually is, but he did have that hamstring taped. Are there any concerns from you whatsoever about the fitness of the favourite to take out the men's title?
No, not at all. I don't actually have any concerns. I feel like there'll be a bit of tape, but there's no way that Novak would be putting himself out there if he wasn't 100% ready to go, despite maybe if he is carrying... Most tennis players or most athletes, I think, carry some type of niggle or injury. So 100%, if Novak wasn't ready to play and win this event, he wouldn't be putting himself out there. So I think he'll be fine.
I'm sure all the tennis fans coming here to Melbourne Park want to see Novak deep in the finals as well. Casey, really appreciate your time. And thank you all so much for joining us on the Morning Serve, thanks to TikTok.